You don't have to hit progressive overload every single week. The reps and the weight doesn't have to go every single week for you to make progress. I'm sorry I have to start this video on an angry tone, but you have to understand this concept. I have to drill it into you. This is super, super important. Look, progressively overloading is very, very important. It's literally a module in my course, first link in the description. It's got its own module right at the beginning because I think it's one of the most vital things that you can learn in your fitness journey. It's just a high score. It's just a game. Just keep beating your high score and you will do well. But you do not have to beat that high score every single session. When you start the gym, especially when you've got good advice from a good person who's giving you, all the tips and tricks that he's using, all the mistakes that he's used, right? Especially if you buy his course, first link in the description, right? You will make insane progress very, very quickly. So when you start the gym, because it's a new stimulus, because it's a new thing, because your body isn't typically used to lifting weights and it's been a lazy fucker for the first majority of its life, the progress you'll make is insane and drastic because you're at such a low level skill in the first place. Any little bit of training is going to skyrocket your progress, right? I want to help you understand this from a sprinter analogy. So imagine Usain Bolt at 10 or 11, right? He probably ran 100 meters in 16 seconds or whatever, right? When he first started training, his first mesocycle or whatever, he would be looking to shave 1, 2, 3 seconds off his time straight away. But he wouldn't be expecting to shave that amount of time off 10 years down the line. Think of his record, 100 meter sprint, 9.58 seconds. You wouldn't look to shave 1, 2, 3 seconds off his time still, even now as an elite. Because your body can only allow for a certain amount of improvement. He's only got a certain amount of potential. He's only got a certain amount of capacity that his body can allow him to exert, right? So instead, 10 years down the line, he's looking to shave off 1/4 of a second, 1/10 of a second, These improvements are so minute because he's so advanced and he's only made so much progress. There's only so much progress he can continue to make because he's been training for so long. And it's the exact same thing in the gym. The exact same thing with bodybuilding. As you get bigger and bigger and bigger, your body can only allow you to put on a certain amount of muscle more because you've already made so much progress. So again, that amount of muscle that you're going to look for to improve slows down and slows down and slows down. But it seems like not many beginners understand this concept. And I stress to you enough, you are going to have to understand this concept, right? Because you're going to like and subscribe to this channel, because you're going to buy my course, right? You are going to make so much faster progress than everyone else that doesn't do this, that doesn't follow this advice, that doesn't know about this stuff, right? Which means you're going to hit the intermediate and advanced level of lifter so much quicker. So it's even more important that you understand this lesson because you're going to have to cross this bridge earlier and you're not going to make the same mistake that I did. You're not. I'm not going to let you, right? And that mistake was force and progressive overload. When I thought that I had to hit a certain weight, increase the reps, increase the weight, increase the form every single week, I was just forcing progressive overload when it wasn't ready yet. Right? Like we said, you get diminishing returns, and what that means is you're going to make less fast progress as you get more advanced. You begin to slow down, the rate of muscle you've increased is beginning to slow, the gradient will begin to become less steep, right? And because of that, you think, oh my god, my training's not working. I'm not making as much progress as I did when I was a beginner, even though I was a beginner, right? And this starts letting you to question your own training. You're like, oh my god, the training isn't working. It's a training, which is why I'm making no progress. It's not. It's because as you get better, as you get more bigger, as you get advanced, you will then begin to experience these diminishing returns, right? So that's what you need to do. You need to understand this concept. And if you don't understand this concept, begin to force progressive overload. You will chuck the weight up. You're doing a lat race, for example, and last week you got 12, this week you're on your 12th rep, and it's barely gone up, and now you're coming down and you're chucking it up for the 13th, chucking it up for the 14th. And this is extremely detrimental because you're lying to yourself about how you've achieved it. Your muscle hasn't achieved progressive overload because you wouldn't have had to yank it up if it was. right? It's you using your leverages, your body momentum, bad form to be able to get that weight up. And the really, really bad problem with this is then you write it down, oh, I got an extra rep, but you didn't, your muscle didn't, your momentum did, right? So then when you come back to it next week and you're like, oh, this has got to go up again, bro, you're not gonna be able to hit that. You're not going to get 14, even with momentum, so now you're plateauing again, and then you're like, oh my God, my training's not working, so you've come to the same conclusion anyway. It doesn't make sense, right? You're going to start questioning your training because you're not going to continuously have to go up and up and up every single week, right? So instead, what you've got to do is just understand the concept. The weight isn't going to go up every single week. Start expecting the weight to go up every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. All right, I've got 1 extra rep on the second week, sound I'm still making progress. Every 4 weeks even as you get more and more advanced. Start changing the demands that you've got for progressive overload, otherwise you begin to force it. You'll sacrifice your form, you'll sacrifice tempo, and with that, there's so many problems that can occur. You're more likely to get injuries, you're more likely to think your training's going bad, you know, your muscle isn't actually growing because you're not training it properly. So many bad things can come from it. Now I'm going to teach you exactly why you do this. So why do you force reps? Why do you force progressive overload? Why is it so bad and how you can fix it? Because this is one of the most important lessons that I've learned in this journey. And I learned it way too fucking late. Bro, as in like, I'm talking the last like 6 months to a year, I learned this lesson. I've been training for 3.5 years, bro. You shouldn't be doing this past your first year. You should know this, right? I didn't know this. No one told me this. No one taught me that this was a problem, and I suffered because of it. I could have been so much bigger if I just fucking put my ego to the side and progressed normally instead of forcing it up every week, especially on bench press. Fuck's sake. I'm not gonna let you make the same mistake. Why do you force progressive overload? Well, you want to stop plateauing so bad. You want to keep making sure your training's working. And I understand that, right? You want to make sure your training's working, you're making continual progress. And you want to stop having plateaus because you know plateaus are fucking shit, bro. They're awful. And you just don't understand the first concept that we talked about. You don't understand about diminishing returns. And that's where you force progressive overload. You're so worried about, oh, the weight isn't going up every single week, and the weight should go up every single week, that you just force it up. You press and you're like jumping it up and like using your whole body as leverage, and you're causing pseudo growth is what I call it, fake growth. So you think the reps are going up, you think the weight's going up, but in reality the muscle hasn't done that, so you're not actually making progress. This is the one thing where progressive overload can become detrimental, because yeah, the numbers are going up, but the muscle isn't getting bigger, right? Because it's not getting used in the final reps, right? So you're just lying to yourself. And the only way to avoid this is obviously understand the first concept of diminishing returns. Once you understand the concept, it all becomes super easy. Start thinking, right, let's get it every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. And also, don't ever force progressive overload to avoid plateaus. If you want to avoid a plateau, bro, if you're hitting a plateau for 3, 4, 5 weeks on a specific exercise, a little quick tip for you, just change the fucking exercise. It is that simple. Go from a double hand to a single arm preacher curl. You know, go from barbell to machine. Do a whole different exercise. Do a Bayesian curl instead of a preacher curl. Whatever it may be. If you're hitting a plateau with a certain exercise, change it for 6 to 10 weeks, then come back to it, and I guarantee you'll see more growth, and then you'll stop hitting that plateau, and then you can continue to lift heavy ass fucking weight. It's really that simple. So you're scared of plateaus, you don't understand the concept that I've just taught you, but now hopefully you understand that progressive overload shouldn't be forced. It should be fine, because if you force it, bro, your muscles ain't gonna get bigger. I know I say, like, if you beat the score, you'll get bigger muscles and all that sort of stuff, and that is true. I have to stress that that is true, but you have to do it the honest and correct way. When you're sacrificing form and tempo and all these important things just for the number to go up, that doesn't mean you're making any progress. And I hope you understand that, right? Because you're just setting yourself up for failure for this. You're making yourself more likely to be injured, and then when you lie to yourself and you get an extra couple of reps because you've yanked the weight up, then when you come back to it the week later and you can't yank it up as well and you're getting one less rep than last week, you're going to question your training and then you're going to flip-flop, and that is a slippery slope. When you're flip-flopping training programs and training programs and training program, you're making no progress in one specific area. You're putting your energy all out into your surroundings in so many different avenues and you're not actually moving forward. Whereas if you just streamlined it into one avenue, one training program, and just got really, really consistent, really, really strong at the same movements, you will see insane growth. The one thing that I'm extremely proud of on my entire fitness journey is that I have used three training programs, 3 splits, 3 workout routines in my 3.5 year journey. 3. Most people go through 3 in their first week. I have had 3 workout routines in my 3.5 year journey. I'm extremely proud of that. I'm like attributing the majority of my success to the fact that I was having grit. The fact that I was like, yes, I understand this concept. I'm going to streamline it into this one thing and that's going to make me progress. And it fucking did. So please just follow my footsteps there. Stop flip-flopping from exercise to exercise. You understand that that's not going to do anything. And when you do that, that happens because you're not hitting progressive overload. Because the week before, you forced progressive overload when you probably shouldn't have gone it anyway. And you forced progressive overload because you didn't understand that the weight doesn't have to go up every single fucking week. I was speaking to one of my friends in the gym and he's getting back into it. He was very, very consistent like a year or 2 ago. And then he's had 6 months, 8 months where, you know, he's just been off it, whatever, life's got in the way. I don't really know the fucking reason, bro. But he's gotten back into it with me and he's started going with me every single day. He's been very, very, very consistent. And he's making insane progress because obviously he's took 8 months off or whatever. When he's come back to it, he's a lot smaller, his physique's a lot worse. But because 1, he's a new beginner now, so he's getting insane gains, and 2, because of the muscle memory, because he used to go gym like 1 or 2 years ago, he's making insane progress super fast. And now, about 3-4 months in, we've got to the point where the progressive overload is beginning to slow down. But I remember at the start of his training, he was getting a plus 2, 3, 4 reps every week, and I was like, what the fuck? I was so jealous in a way, because I was like, I wish my reps and weight would go up so much higher like that, right? And now we're finally hitting the point where he's only getting 1 extra rep, or maybe he's not getting any extra reps at all with the same form. And he keeps coming up and being like, oh, my progress is slowing down. Like, I don't know what to do. And I can see the worry and anxiousness in his face. And I just want to relieve him of all that anxiousness and tell him, and I did, this is exactly what I did. The weight isn't supposed to go up every week. And I used myself as the example. I said, look, turn around to me. How many times have I said to you, all right, I've got the same reps as last time. We're going to expect to go up next week. Oh, we got 1 extra rep this week. I've been stuck on it for a couple of weeks. How many times have I said that to you? And he was like, loads, of course. So if I'm not going up every week, why do you expect that you're going to, you know? We're on the same journey here. And that just finally got it clicked into his mind. He was like, oh. And I had to explain to him, like, obviously newbie gains and all this stuff, the stuff that I've just explained to you. And he was like, oh, I get it. So now I'm going to expect to get the reps to go up every 2 weeks. And I'm like, yes. And then when that doesn't happen, do 3 weeks, and that doesn't happen, do 4 weeks. Just as long as you're seeing some sort of progress evenly across a certain amount of time, you are making gains, right? And now he's not anxious. He's just more focused on the form, the execution, the intention, all this other stuff that I talk about, all the other stuff that I talk about in my product in the description. Sorry, I couldn't fucking get my words out then, bro. All this stuff I talk about on my channel. He's focusing on all that, and his growth has been insane. His strength has gone up mad. I remember just a little like flex, right? He couldn't squat like 60 kg. He could barely squat 60 kg like 3 months ago. Now he's squatted 100 for 2 and he's benching 90. He couldn't bench 60 like a few months ago. It's insane how much progress he's making. And it's all because he isn't flip-flopping from training program to training program. He isn't worrying about, oh, I'm not making progressive overload every week. He's just focusing on the intention, the execution, the intensity, and this will all follow, right? So, yes, it's easy for him because he's had someone to speak to him, but I'm speaking to you now. This is why I'm making this video, right? Because you need to understand this as well. And you can fix it. You can fix force and progressive overload. Right? So first of all, obviously understand concept 1, understand concept of, it's not supposed to go up every week, and that's how you stop forcing yourself. But also, just if you always have the intent to have good form, you will never force progressive overload. If you've always got good form, forcing progressive overload will never happen. So you need to always have that intention. Get a workout app, write it down, have good form, keep back flat on the pad, keep elbows to the pad, whatever. Maybe for every exercise, write it down and have it in your mind and replay that sentence in your mind while you're doing it. So every time you're doing a rep, right, it's like, right, keep elbow on the pad, lift, keep it, control the eccentric, lift. And if you have intention, right, there's a reason why that's also a separate module in my course down in the description. Having intention is super important because it's going to allow you to remind yourself to have good form, and you'll never force progressive overload if you've got good form. That way, when the reps are going up, when the weight is going up, you know that's down to how strong your muscles actually getting, not your leverages, so you know you're making progress, right? So always having good form, record your sets and make sure your form is good for things that you can't really tell, right? Like squats, for example. And also, you can progressive overload in other ways. It doesn't have to be the weight increasing. It could be more reps. It could be the tempo could be better. It could be the form could be better. It could be, for example, not letting the elbow come off the pad when you're doing a preacher curl. It could be so many different things. So progressive overload in other areas, right? So maybe, for example, if you progressively overload on your first set and now it's your second set and you've got the same as last week, you're thinking, right, I got the same reps with the same weight, not that great. But no, you're more fatigued because you've got more reps than last week on the first set, and now you've still equaled the amount that you got in your second set. So technically it's progressive overload. So finding other ways to progressive overload can also help with this problem. That's it. I was going to carry on spitting, but I realised that is genuinely it. Understanding that progressive overload isn't going to go up every week, understanding you can progressively overload in so many different ways, and always having good form with intention and recording yourself is exactly how you prevent this whole thing from happening, right? Don't be scared of recording yourself in the gym, by the way. No one cares. I have people look at me all the time. I just smile, they smile back, and they give me a nod, being like, yeah, it's good that you're recording. And no one's asked me about it. No one's called me cringe. No one's made fun of me. I don't give a fuck, right? Even if they do, but no one has anyway, just in case you'll care about that sort of stuff. Just fucking do it. If it makes your fitness journey so much better, if it improves you faster, if it stops you forcing progressive overload, then who cares if anyone's got anything to say for you? Your journey matters more than the opinion of other people. Especially the opinion of the people that don't care for you, they don't care about you, they just hate on you for the sake of hating on you. Why do you care about that? Why do you care? Right? Because I did this for so long. I cared about other people's opinions, people that were close to me that probably shouldn't have been that close to me, but that didn't actually care about me. And I cared about their opinions for so long, and it stopped me from doing so many things. Now I just don't care, and I'm so much happier. You just got to turn that switch off, bro. So if you want to record, fucking record. Just as long as you're not, recording other people. Record yourself, obviously. And if people walk in front of the camera, don't shout at them and get put on a fucking Joey Swole video. Whatever it may be, right? Just be respectful, be normal, and no one's going to say a fucking thing. Right, that's how to stop forcing progressive overload. This is one of the most important lessons that I've ever fucking learned on my fitness journey, and I learned it way too late. So I'm going to stop that from happening to you. So watch the video all the way through. All the lessons are very important. Like and subscribe for more. Again, first link in the description is my product. Best product I've ever made. I'm extremely, extremely proud of it. The price will go up every 5 members. So you better get in there fucking quick, bro, because it's a fucking steal right now. And as more people realize how fucking, it's like a gold mine, bro. As people realize how valuable it is, the price is going to skyrocket with it. So I would get in right fucking now, because this shit transforms people's physiques. Right? There's a reason my advice has worked for you so far. There's a reason why I built the physique that I have. It's because all this advice fucking works. So, if you're interested in that, bro, again, it's very, very cheap in the minute. So I make a wholeheartedly suggest you go and give that a try. And your physique will drastically improve. I promise you that. Right? Without further ado, have a good session today. I've got legs, so I'm going to fucking kill myself, but we're still going to do it because we're not pussies, right? Have a good session, and I'll see you later.